Alrighty, let's see. There we go. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the April bi-monthly Q&A. For those of you who this is your first Q&A of this channel, I do bi-monthly Q&As. I do them once every 2 months. And I accept questions on both my YouTube, in my community posts, and over on Patreon. And so that's what we're going to be going through today, and hopefully it will be very exciting. I'm not going to lie, I wasn't planning on recording this right now, but here I am, and I'm sitting in my chair, so it's going to be a little bit squeaky, because it just always is. So if you hear creaking in the background, I do apologize if that kind of ruins the vibe. But anyway, I also don't have any water, so I'll probably have to get up and do like a second round of questions after this. But for now, I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. Thank you all for tuning in, of course, as always. The first question I wanted to answer really quickly that a couple people have asked, and I just kind of wanted to set the record straight on. A lot of people have asked if I still take requests for like audios on YouTube, or like if that's a Patreon only thing, or if it has to be commissions or what. So I figured I would just like go over that right quick. So the short answer is yes, I do still accept requests for audio ideas on YouTube. The way I see it is like they're less, I guess, like requests, like you ask for something and I guarantee I will do it next audio or whatever, and more like suggestions. So I guess that wording's a bit unintentionally misleading. I do apologize for that, but I do still accept them. But the longer answer to that would be that honestly I just don't have the ability to upload like too many suggested audios in addition to the audios that I already have planned. When it comes to things like commissions or Patreon audios, those things function on a different schedule from my regular uploads. So I usually can just kind of make those audios whenever people ask for them, because I'm not having to worry about, well, how do I fit this into my current schedule? But I am trying to adjust my schedule now that I've kind of realized that's an issue. I do kind of want to readjust my schedule to allow for more points in time where I can just like pick out a request or two and upload them one week, so that way you guys can have your audios that you want to see. I also will say I do write out the responses to these questions in advance so that I'll know what I'm going to say, but something I didn't really write and do any comment on, sometimes this isn't always the case. In fact, it's quite rare, I think, for it to be the case, but sometimes people will request stuff that I just don't know how to do. Like they'll ask for a specific topic, or they'll have a specific character, or it'll be something that kind of straddles that line between safe for work and not safe for work, and I won't really know how to put it into an audio while it's still being like relaxing and safe for work and like enjoyable for me. So sometimes if a request doesn't get done for a long period of time, it's just because I'm trying to figure out how to make it work. Yeah, that being said, I do want to do more requests as possible. There have been a lot that I've been really wanting to put up on the channel, and some that a lot of people have requested at this point, so I feel like I don't really like owe it to anyone. I don't want to sound like it's like an obligation, like, well, 5 people asked for it, now I have to do it. But it's more like seeing that it's something that so many people want to see, it makes me want to do it so that you guys can have that audio and so many of you can experience the thing that you want to experience. So yeah, I am very inspired to figure out something that will incorporate y'all's stuff more as well. So yeah. But going on to the questions that you guys have asked, specific people I should say have asked. I'll start with Flood, who asks, I don't know if this has been asked before, but what got you into macro and micro stuff? Oh gosh, so much, honestly. One that I don't think I've mentioned before, though, in like any capacity, was my sibling and I used to play a lot with Barbies and Polly Pockets, which for those of you who don't know or who might like not know what size of Polly Pocket I'm talking about, because there were a lot of different sizes for her over the years. I'm specifically talking about like the 12-inch Barbie dolls, and then like the 3-inch-ish Polly dolls, like 3 to 4 inches, I think. Well, we did usually keep them separate because like it's kind of hard to have a good setting to play with both sizes of dolls in. There were like a few times where they'd be mixed together, and what usually ensued was a lot of like the Barbies like stepping on them or picking them up or being like, oh, I didn't see you there, oh, you're so small. Or like there was one time where, oh gosh, this is so cringe, but we had this storyline for like a week where like the Barbies had enslaved the Polly Pockets and the Pollies were fighting for their liberation. Mostly like not like in any cool way, just like a, hey, you should stop like carrying us around on leashes, and the Barbies being like, oh, that's a good point. So don't worry, we unfortunately were not like really hip activists. We were just being stupid, so yeah, but that being said, I do remember even at a young age, the like mixed size toy play was very interesting to me. It did stuff to me. Changed my brain chemistry. Let's see, the second question that Flood asks is, what is your process in making new characters? Honestly, it's mostly just talking to myself. What I will tend to do is get into a character's headspace and then just like start talking as them. Usually what I'll do is like I'll think up like an introductory audio for them of sorts. And then once I have that like initial concept of like, this character is going to be a doting tiny person who has a giant friend. And the introductory audio is that the giant friend got hurt, so the little person's having to access this giant med kit and to like patch them up or whatever, you know, could be anything. But once I come up with that initial concept, I'll start like ad-libbing and improvising, just pretty much anywhere. I do it at work, I do it at home, I do it when I'm out shopping, I'll do it when I'm going for hikes. So yeah, that's usually how I do it, honestly, is just I'll come up with the basic character idea and what kind of role they would fill in most audios, and then I'll usually come up with like the introductory audio of like how would they be introduced, what kind of audio would I use to demonstrate the core of their character, because obviously, you know, with later audios you can introduce more dynamics with them. Like for example, Chaudry the Chill Mage was introduced as being a normal-sized person taking care of tiny people, but in some of his more recent audios have him as the tiny person. So like you can absolutely change them up, but I usually try to figure out what the like baseline of their personality is with their introductory audio. So hopefully that made sense. I really hope it did. Let's see, the third question that Flood asked, how long does it usually take for you to write the scripts for your videos? Usually I don't actually write scripts. at least not very detailed ones. More often than not, I will come up with a very simple premise, like 3 to 5 bullet points, and then I'll just improvise the rest. Like, as I mentioned previously, a tiny person. There's the listener's a giant. They bruised themselves, they scraped their knee. So the audio will consist of the tiny person rifling through a med kit, grabbing various supplies to tend to this wound. And that's just what I go off of, and then I just start improvising from there. However, sometimes if I'm struggling to start an audio, like if I just can't figure out that first little bit of dialogue to really get things rolling, I will write up a few lines of dialogue for that start, then improvise the rest. So, if I can't figure out how to start with the audio I just mentioned, I might write up, like, oh, hey, are you okay? Oh, yeah, that looks like a pretty bad scrape. Do you want me to see about getting something to help? Oh, okay, well, why don't you set that down then, and I'll go through the kit, and I'll help you out. You just take a moment and relax, or whatever. And then, once I have that base, I can just start going. But yeah, honestly, it's really rare for me to actually write a full script. Even on things where I have to write a partial script, it usually will be no more than like 5 minutes or like half the audio. That said, when I do write a full script, it usually will take me a few days and like 3 revisions. The biggest part is kind of going through and adding the fluff, making it so it's not just going from one major topic to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And instead you get that like downtime between every topic. I think the last proper full script I wrote was, I want to say it was a commission audio. I don't think it's been released yet. But yeah, that easily took me a week of just writing the commission audio script. So yeah. The fourth question that Flood asks is, which of your characters would you say is your favorite to voice? Oh gosh, Ryback probably. I think I answered a similar question like in my very first Q&A, and I'm pretty sure I said Ryback them too. But yeah, he's just a really sweet guy. He's lovely to voice. The fact that he's always just so chipper and funny really makes him very fun for me to voice. Let's see. And the next question is, what is your favorite request you've gotten for a video? It's really hard. I would say that my favorite commission, or request, I should say, commissions would be a different story, but my favorite request I've ever gotten for a video would probably be the Gruff Dragon audios. They've been a lot of fun to work on. I like the character. I like the way I get to do the audio editing for his voice. The big thing, the reason why I haven't done more of it is just because I've wanted to, do every section justice. I want to give him the character arc he deserves. But yeah, I think that's probably one of my favorites. But some of them that I haven't gotten to yet would probably be like queer affirmations, I guess is how you would put it. But like affirmations for coming out of the closet, or transness, or oh no, I didn't write it down and I've forgotten the word for it, but like being non-binary. I don't know if like what the word for that is, but like, for being trans or non-binary. That kind of stuff is really fun, because as a queer person myself, it's just really nice to be able to support that part of the community. Of course, nothing wrong if you're cisgender heterosexual, but getting to give that love to people like me is very nice. So, yeah. The sixth question that Flood asks is, how long have you been into ASMR? Honestly, I really can't remember. I'm trying to think of the first audios I ever listened to, but the names aren't coming to mind. I know Pudding Whispers was a big one back in the day. Goodnight Moon's been more of a recent thing. Like, not recent, like easily 5 years ago, I think, at this point. But not one of the OGs. Yeah. Honestly, I think it's been like a decade or more now, I want to say, which is like wild to think about for me. And that would be all the questions that Flood had. Thank you so much, Flood, for your questions. I really appreciate them. Let's see. Oh, right. Jeb and Jordan both asked this question. Would you ever consider doing a meaner type of roleplay, or a cruel giant type of roleplay? I know that you tend to do gentler giants, but what about an evil one? Honestly, I've had quite a few other people also ask for this, like meaner or snappier, etc. And while I'm not entirely against it, my general concern has always been how to keep it feeling relaxing. I think I've done somewhat well with the Gruff Dragon so far with his story, where he makes his little threats and his little complaints, but overall there's no immediate danger in that specific moment in time. But I think if I want to continue delving into like less friendly characters, I will really need to workshop them and make sure that it can still be relaxing even with the implied peril or the explicit peril, So, yeah, thank you both, Jeb and Jordan, for that question. I'll certainly consider it. I know a lot of people have been wanting it, but we'll have to see. Let's see. Hales asks, how did you get started on creating ASMR? I don't know, really. Outside of just like the initial inspiration, listening to other creators make stuff. I had a microphone, I had the desire to use my voice, and I just started recording. With this channel specifically, I knew that I wanted to do something related to GT. So I did have a few different channels that I did general voice acting stuff on before this one, but they were not things that I personally found a lot of interest in. I won't say that I didn't enjoy them, just I had no personal stake in them. It was a lot of making stuff because I thought other people would want to see it, and a lot of paying attention to the numbers of audios, which I definitely think didn't help, because not being a super popular creator, the things that were popular were things that are like generically popular, like, I don't know, possessive boyfriend eats your kneecaps or something, I don't know. But those would be popular, and then the ones that were more like of my own personal enjoyment didn't tend to be, because they were more niche. But with this specific channel, after I kind of decided to hell with it, I'm gonna just start making giant tiny ASMR. I very much just decided one day I wanted to do it. I wrote down a bunch of ideas, and I recorded, I think, 8 audios in the span of about a day. That might be wrong. I feel like it wasn't quite that intense, but I very much wanted to just do it, so I did. And look at where it's got me. Very pleased. The second question that Hales asks is, what is the most challenging part of creating an audio? I think I've said this previously, so I do apologize if I'm just like retreading old ground, and anyone who's listened to previous audios or previous Q&As, it's like, please stop. You need to come up with a new statement. But honestly, yeah, the beginning of an audio tends to be the hardest for me, especially for commissions and especially for new characters. I find it a bit difficult to actually like get off the ground with the audio. I find that oftentimes if I'm not totally sold on that first minute or two, I'll probably just kind of waffle through the rest of the audio and just absolutely hate it a day later because it just feels, meandering or pointless or whatever. I have to really sell myself on an audio's opening if I want to enjoy it. So, yeah. Not the editing part. Editing part's easy. Not the finishing it up. That's also pretty easy. It really is just getting started. I think pretty much any creative person understands that struggle. Next question from Hales is, whenever you're voicing a character, how do you come up with a particular voice? It depends, really. Sometimes I'll kind of go in and just know the character in my head in advance. Or if I'm inspired by, like, another creator's voice, like their particular tone or accent or pitch, I'll have that as a jumping off point. Like, for the Bog Mage, Aether, I was very inspired by Moonlight Cottage's Apothecary, which, if you watch those videos, you will probably see the similarities immediately. But I liked that not uncaring, but cold or more distant tone. So I already had that in mind for the Bog Mage. But when I don't have a jumping off point, I'll spend a few days talking as that character in my spare time, like I mentioned previously, and just kind of seeing what voice sounds best, where in my vocal range they feel the most comfortable, what kind of tone they should have, what kind of personality they should have. The personality goes very much hand in hand with the voice. But yeah, that kind of thing. Again, not part of what I initially wrote, but I have been workshopping a character a little bit recently. No idea if they'll ever see the light of day, so I won't say too much about them, but they are a character that I've been kind of working on, kind of like a fairly jovial with some like underlying insecurities, but kind of also very showmanly, I suppose. So I've been trying to get that like relaxing sound while also still being like charismatic. So having that like, oh, you've come to see me, how delightful, while also not like being just straight up talking. I try to do like soft speaking or whispering. I try not to do like just straight up talking. So, yeah, that's kind of the process for doing character voices. Next question Hales asks is, what is the highest and lowest part of your vocal range? I don't know the notes, but the friendly giant is roughly where the lowest part of my vocal range is. At this point, when I hit this low, I very rarely can go any lower. Though if I've just woken up, sometimes I can manage a bit lower, but I also will probably sound very congested. So this is the lowest part of my vocal range. Again, it's usually the friendly giant sounds around in this range. So And as for the highest part of my vocal range, it's around Ryback, a little bit higher. I will see if I can do it while being quiet because it does get a little bit loud usually.
The highest I can go is around here, but it has to be very, drawn back, and it's not very comfortable for me to do for long periods of time. But the highest I can do while still being relatively comfortable is around here. So yeah, very much the Ryback range. In fact, it's kind of just stereotypically the Ryback range because, to the point where when I do it, I just get naturally into the Ryback headspace. It's very funny to me. But yeah, that's around the highest point.
So yeah, that's what you got. I hope that was enjoyable to listen to, and I'm really sorry for anyone who found the the squeakiness grating. The next question Hales asks is, do you play instruments? You know this one, Hales. But yeah, I do. I play piano, and I previously played guitar and violin. Because I live in an apartment currently, and I don't have an electric violin, I don't play violin as much as I'd like to, because I don't want to annoy my neighbors. And guitar, I really only began to learn the basics before I had to quit my lessons due to life getting in the way, so here I am. But yeah, I do play violin a little bit, and I play piano semi-regularly. So, yeah. My mother likes to tell a story. This is sorry, unscripted again. But my mother likes to tell the story that the reason why I learned piano is because we used to have a really dinky little electric keyboard. One of the really small ones that mostly just plays music for you. And we used to have one, and I really wanted to get a proper piano and get lessons. And my mom was like, I'm not convinced you're gonna want to play piano forever, so you have to convince me. And since I couldn't read sheet music, what I did, this is a true story, this isn't just something she made up, this is what I would go to YouTube. I think by this point I had a laptop, so I could at least rest my laptop nearby the keyboard. But I would go to YouTube, and I would I'd listen to piano covers of Pachelbel's Canon. Yeah, that one. The wedding song. Not the wedding song, but the one that a lot of people play at their weddings, And I learned it by ear, and I can still mostly play it to this day. I've learned other songs since then, and since I only ever learned Canon by ear, I can't just sight read the sheet music and just know what it's supposed to sound like. But yeah, so that was how I learned piano. And then I got lessons, and I learned, the other big song I learned was the opening credits theme song for the Keira Knightley Pride and Prejudice movie. So, yeah. And then every other song I learned was just normal sheet music stuff that I had learned in my lessons. So, yeah. Question number 6 by Hales was, what's your favorite genre of music? Honestly, I really don't know. I don't know music genres that well. But I think indie's probably the most accurate. I like hold on, let me pull up my Spotify. Obviously I like soundtracks. They're great. But to give you guys an idea of the type of music I usually listen to, Vitamin String Quartet, I love them. Alan Gogol, ALAN GOGOLL, has some fun ones. Otto Hart is really great. Otto Hart, I love their songs. I sing along to them at my work. it doesn't come on the radio. I just have it on my phone. Amy Carty. That is AIMEECARTY. Also a lot of really great songs, very emotional songs, as well as Fish in a Birdcage. Yeah, those are the types of songs I usually listen to. I also will occasionally treat myself to a Tom Carty song. That's the guy who did that song about the bard who keeps rolling really great and kills the child. Shouldn't have worded it like that. It's a D&D game. It's a D&D game. Anyway. I'm very serious. The next question by Hales is, what is your favorite book? Oh god, it's a tough choice now. I used to know what it was like just directly, but I will stick with my usual answer being Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry, or perhaps more accurately said Legends and Lattes. Something about it is just so enchanting to me. The fact that it's like very low stakes, but still, I think, what is it, like a tale of high fantasy and low stakes, I think is like the catchphrase for it. The characters are great. The romance feels very natural. And for full context, for anyone like worried, I don't recall there being any like explicitly sexual moments. I think it's just a lot of intimacy, and even then it feels earned. It doesn't feel like they were just so drawn to each other they couldn't help it. Like everything feels earned in that book. But two close seconds are a very adult novel. This is an adult novel. If you do not like reading like books with explicit scenes in them or very heavy topics, do not read it. But Naked in Death by Nora Roberts, or J.D. Robb, as her pen name is. Is it pen name? You know what I'm talking about. Like when an author uses a different name. Naked in Death is really great. It is a like crime thriller romance. It's great, but also it's very heavy. So please, if you're not sure if you'll like it or not, or if you're not sure if you'll be triggered by it or not, because there are some things that would be very triggering in this book, I would definitely recommend reading like a content warning for it before you go in. But yeah, if you're really into them, if you're really into like thrillers and crime dramas, I'd recommend it. And if you're looking for something a little bit lighter, Legends and Lattes is very much a very light book. But one of my other favorite books of all time that I've listened to again recently in audiobook form, and I just still love it, is Love, Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. So yeah, those are my three books: Legends and Lattes, Naked in Death, and Love, Stargirl. How do you like to spend your weekends is Hales' next question. I did not write the entirety of this answer. Okay. Well, so on Saturday mornings, I'll play D&D with my friends. We usually play from about 9 to about noon. Though we also usually get started late because nobody wants to wake up that early, but it's like the only time we can play. So we have been looking to get it shifted around, but for now that's what we have. And aside from that, my job doesn't really have specific set days that I'm off. It's usually just whenever they don't need me. So I don't really have weekends so much as I have that specific moment on Saturdays where that's like I have off. My schedule is adjusted for it. But on days that I have off, usually I will record audios, and I will also go on hikes. Where I live currently is very beautiful. You wouldn't always believe it because sometimes it doesn't seem very pretty, but you just have to find it. You just have to go out, and that's a big thing I think that a lot of people don't really keep in mind, is you really have to find the beauty in where you are. Back when I lived in the South, it was not a very pretty place where I lived. It was very urban. I don't like the fun kind of urban either, where it's like, ooh, cool architecture. It was like just enough buildings that no plant life could grow, but not enough buildings to be interesting. But there were a couple of nature parks, nature trails, and that kind of thing nearby where I lived, so I'd go out there whenever I was sad, and yeah, so that I would say would be my how I like to spend my days off. And I'll usually go to the store and like buy groceries and stuff, because I don't like doing that on days where I work. In part because I usually work until most places are closed. I usually work until 11 o'clock at night or later. So, question number 9. What is your favorite tabletop game? So my favorite TTRPG is D&D 5th edition, because it's the only one I've really been able to play enough to actually know it. I did get to experiment a bit with, I forget what it's called, and that's so terrible, but it was the mortal version of like werewolf and vampire and changeling and mage. We were doing a mortal campaign. It was very fun, but it was like a one-shot, so we didn't do much with it. But it was a very fun system to get to try out. I also really enjoyed, I have gotten to read through Fixers and the Floorboards. It's like a very GT-coded little system. I really want to try it out, but I haven't gotten to yet. So I guess I'll, hopefully maybe in 2 months when this question gets asked again, hopefully I'll have a better answer. But my favorite board game in general would be Pandemic. It's really fun. The base game is like a lot of fun. The like spin-offs and the expansions are also pretty great, but honestly, if you just want to play the base game, it's great. It's a co-op, and I really enjoy that. I don't really care for games that are not co-op, like versus games. So next question from Hales, question number 10. Are you a Disney fan? Not really, to be honest. It's not like I don't like Disney. There's a lot of good Disney movies. Encanto is of course amazing. I don't think anyone's denying Encanto was great. As was Tangled. But again, I don't think anyone's denying that. But I just honestly, I don't watch that many shows or movies nowadays. Disney is the one who did, was it Win or Lose? That I've heard good things about. So maybe I'll watch that one eventually. But yeah, no. I don't have a Disney subscription, so I don't really engage with a lot of the content these days. Next question, what is your favorite coffee drink? Oh gosh. These next few answers are going to be really unfortunate for you, I'm sorry. I don't drink coffee. I actually, here, I'll add an anecdote that I didn't write again. I'm lengthening this so much just by going on little anecdotes that I didn't intend to talk about. Recently, I went to a coffee shop, and it was a bookstore and coffee shop, and I was actually looking for some video games, because some bookstores have video games, or like tabletop games, that kind of stuff. I was just looking around to see what kind of game stuff they had. They didn't have any. It was just for books, which I appreciate. I can appreciate that. But I was like, I want to buy something from them. So I went up to the coffee shop, and they were like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "Do you have any cold drinks? Because I don't like hot drinks. I don't like coffee, and I don't like hot drinks. I don't like tea for the same reason. It's hot." And they were like, "Well, yeah, we have Iced coffee. We have Italian soda. What are you looking for? Like, what kind of flavor profile? And I didn't know because I don't go to coffee shops. Because I don't like coffee. And I thought about the fact that someone previously had asked for a hot chocolate. So I went, can you make me an iced hot chocolate? And for those of you who know how to make a hot chocolate, you already know this was a stupid thing to ask. But I didn't. Because I don't make hot chocolate, because why would I? It's hot. But he was like, I don't know. So he turns to his coworker and goes, can we make a hot chocolate and make it iced? And the coworker goes, I don't know. I guess so. Like, it would just taste like chocolate milk. But if that's what you want, yeah. And I was like, you know what, that sounds great. Because at this point, I was so flustered. I had stopped in there for a quick 5-minute jaunt around to see if they had any cool stuff. And now I was buying a coffee or a hot chocolate I didn't even want. But damn it, I told myself I'd buy something from these people, so I was gonna do it. And so the lovely lady who was working there makes me this hot chocolate, makes it iced, and gives it to me. And it's $5. And I'm like, thank you so much. And so I try it, and so she goes, you know what? I want to try this drink. We have extra, so, because, it's one of those things where, you can't just, make the exact amount. You have to make a little bit extra, and then you might as well just drink it. So she tries it, and she goes, wait, this is actually really good. And it was chocolate milk, because, shockingly, the way you make hot chocolate, for those of you who didn't know when I first mentioned it, you boil milk, then you put chocolate in, and the chocolate and the milk turn into hot chocolate. And you can also add water if you want it to be a little bit less rich. But this hot chocolate, because it was steamed, I guess, I don't know, I forget exactly how it was made, but it had a very smooth texture. It was very light. It wasn't decadent, it wasn't rich, it was very light, but it still tasted really good. So the guy tries it and he goes, this is really good. And so, I joke and I'm like, oh, you're so welcome for me coming in here and ordering this. And then they're like, wait, we can make this into a summertime drink. We could add something summery to it, and we can make this part of our menu for the summer. Iced hot chocolate. I haven't gone back, but I have thought about things they could add to it. They could add some orange. Some orange, either just straight up orange juice, or some orange extract or whatever, or some lavender. Those are my two ideas. Or maybe some cherry. But I feel cherry is more a springtime drink. Orange is very much summery to me. But yeah, I've thought about it, which is probably really stupid, but you know what? I don't care. So yeah, in short, I don't drink coffee. Apparently though, I do drink chocolate milk with ice cubes in it. The next question, and the next question from Hales is, are you interested in any sports teams? No. I'm not into sports. I kind of used to be when I was younger, but I was mostly just playing the sports because I liked being active. But then every time I'd play sports, it was always with bigger kids because there was no one my age. So I would get trampled because I could run fast, but that was it. That was all I had going for me. And even then, if there's a kid who's a teenager and I was 5, they're gonna have longer legs than me. So yeah, I stopped liking sports a long time ago. Next question from Hales. What is your favorite thing to order at a restaurant? Honestly, I don't know. I guess it depends on the restaurant, but probably something chicken based. chicken quesadillas, chicken nuggets, fried chicken, grilled chicken, chicken sandwiches, chicken roast. I don't know. Chicken stuff. I like chicken stuff. Chicken salad? Oh, I fuck with chicken salad. I love chicken salad. It's delicious. I really like it. The next question is, do you wear contacts? And no, I do not. I hate the idea of contacts. I hate the idea of putting them in my eyeballs. I hate the idea of forgetting to take them out of my eyeballs. I can't do it. I will wear my glasses. Even when they slide off my face because my face is sweaty and oily from having worked an 8-hour shift. And I have to go home and like scrub my face to get all the disgustingness off of it. I will still wear my glasses. Number 15. What's your favorite type of clothing? Or style of clothing? Light colors usually. Loose fit. I very much enjoy feeling like earthy in my attire. Very much, I would say cottagecore, but I feel like cottagecore is a bit too nice for my style. I don't tend to like long sleeves, but I usually will do like a shirt, an overshirt, and then some like looser pants. And I really hate wearing black. I think I mentioned this a while back, but again, anecdote. But I decided at one point I just was sick of wearing black. You know, I relied on it for years. And I, wore it to conceal my body. I wore it to, because it's easy to match colors with black. Everything matches black. And I wore it because, it's not hard to put an outfit together with black. So it's kind of just a cop-out answer for me. And eventually I realized I just didn't like how I felt when I was wearing it. I didn't like the black aesthetic. I didn't like, the kind of reason I was wearing it. The reason of like hiding who I was. I just didn't like it. So I stopped wearing black. I do still have some black t-shirts. But they're more for sentimental value. I very rarely wear them outside of my house. Like I'm wearing a black t-shirt right now. But it's, I haven't worn it out. I think since I got it. Because it's a Pikmin t-shirt. And my family got it for me for Christmas. And while I appreciate it, I just don't have a reason to wear it. So yeah, so earthy, airy clothes are my vibe. If you were stranded on an island, Hales asks, what 3 things would you wish for? I'm not sure. Probably like a sustainable farm, a guide to crafting tools, and I don't know, I'd say my boyfriend, but I don't want to strand him out here too, so I'll say like a cell phone with a working signal, so I could look things up for a short time and get help sent my way. I could look up the coordinates of where I was and be like, this is where I'm located. I have a farm, but I will probably kill it pretty soon. So send help. And then they could send help my way. And yeah, I figure with the, guide to crafting tools, that would get me the ability to make stuff. And also, if nothing else, once I've learned everything I can from the pages, it makes great tinder. So, yeah, that's what I wish for. Number 17 from Hales. Are there any mobile games you like to play in your free time? Not really, honestly. The trouble with me and mobile games is that I will get into a game really hard for like a month at max, and then I'll just like burn myself out. Or especially with certain mobile games, they'll require constant attention, and I will not have the ability to give that attention, and then I'll just say fuck it. Stop playing them. Number 18. What is your favorite color? There's so many to choose from. I'll go with blue today, I think. Most of my wardrobe's blue, so I'll say blue. Number 19. Are you a morning or night person? I'm a night person. I am very nocturnal. In part because I record these kind of things and I need the silence of nighttime. Like, it is 2 in the morning right now, so. And finally, from Hales, what 3 things best describe you? I don't know if you mean like just like 3 concepts in general, or like 3 words. Like, you know, like what best represents me. I'm gonna assume you mean like 3 words though. So I would probably say, creative, stressed, and tired. So those are the questions that Hales had. Thank you so much for asking them, Hales. I really appreciate it. Let me see. Next question is from TigerGamer13, who asks, how would you react if someone made or wanted to make an animation or animatic of one of your audios? Basically taking one of the audios and animating the character saying those lines, or animating the character interacting with the listener. If the artist wanted to post their animation online, would they need your permission first? Or is simply putting your name or tag in the video description enough credit for the original audio? Oh god, that's honestly really flattering to think about. Yeah, honestly, if anyone gets inspired by my characters and wants to make something with them, I have no problem with that. Animation, art, writing, etc. I mean, ultimately I can't stop you guys. But moreover, I would be honored to see what y'all make, so long as credit's given. That, you know, like, I'm the one who did the voices, if you're, like, doing an animation based off of that. Or, you know, hey, this is this guy's characters, whatever. Also, if you happen to make an animatic or other work of art based on my audios, and if you'd like to share it with me, obviously I do have my YouTube. You're also welcome to email me if you want. I think my email should be in my channel description. If it's not, I know it's connected to my Ko-Fi. I have no idea where I can locate it. You know what? I will, if it's not in my channel description already, I'll try to make sure it's there before this audio goes up. But aside from that, I do also have a Blue Sky and a Twitter account that should be linked in the description. So hopefully you can check those out with a little difficulty. And again, if you share any art, or if you make any art, I should say, you can share it over there and say, hey, Sauce, look at this thing I made, and I will promptly scream at you. Like, you made that, oh my gosh. So, yeah. So that's Tiger Gamer's question. Thank you so much, Tiger Gamer. I really appreciate the thought. Let's see, next. Rex asks, does Ross's voice actor have a channel? Their voice is really nice, particularly in that February audio. I'd really like to listen to more of their stuff, especially if it's more soft-spoken. Wishful thinking. Yeah, mood, honestly. But unfortunately not, which is a shame because I genuinely love his voice. Ruby is his like online name, and he's really great. He's a lovely fellow with a lovely voice. However, he mostly does audio work for my sake rather than like wanting to pursue voice acting himself, which is perfectly reasonable, of course. But if this changes, if he decides at any point in time to hook up his own YouTube channel, then I will absolutely post an audio regarding that and send y'all over to his channel to give it some love. So, yeah. And, of course, hopefully he will appear many, many times on this channel as well, so. Yeah, thank you so much for asking that question, Rex. Again, I hope he does make a channel, but for now he does not. I will, however, link his Blue Sky in the description of this video, if I remember. If I don't, please feel free to send a comment. Be like, hey, can you please do what you said you were going to do? And I'll do it. Let's see, next. Team Bard Kitty Song asks, what do you use to make your thumbnails? Hand Fiend once again. Hello there, Hand Fiend. I hope you know that I do recognize you as the Hand Fiend every time you pop up in the comments. So, to answer your question though, I use Clip Studio Paint for my thumbnails. I used to use Adobe Photoshop, but honestly, Clip Studio does everything I need it to, pretty much. I can't think of anything that Adobe did that Clip Studio doesn't. And it's also like a one-time purchase, or it can be. It doesn't have to be a subscription, unlike Adobe. And Adobe also raised their prices recently, thanks to adding generative AI software. So, yeah. Honestly, it just gets the job done, and I'm pleased with it. So, Clip Studio is what I use. And of course, I do have a base for the thumbnails. I think I mentioned this before, but back when I first was working on the channel, I wanted to make sure that I would have something that I could use to create characters easily without just actively using other people's art. And I was really inspired by Pick Crew, because of course with Pick Crew you can just kind of create a character off of a base. And a lot of ASMR artists that I know tended to use it, but because I didn't know the crediting rules, or if it was like copyrighted or anything like that, I just decided to make my own. So I made a little mannequin base, and from there I can draw on various clothes, various hairs, various expressions, etc., etc., etc. And I do like the more variety it gives me, the more customizability. If I want to have someone be a cyclops or something, I can do that. Or if I want them to have pointy ears or short ears or feathers for hair or whatever, I can do all that. I don't have to find a Pick Crew that will let me, or any other software that lets me edit a base. I can just draw it on. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. If you need more depth about that, you're more than welcome to ask. Yeah. But thank you for your question. I do appreciate it. I like getting to talk about how I make stuff. Next, Anime Jace asks, how has 2025 been treating you? It's been treating me alright. I really can't complain. I have a good job, getting to work on fun projects, and with any luck, I will be getting to see my boyfriend in July. So, yeah, I'm content, all things considered. Thank you for asking about me. If you would like to comment about how you're doing, Jace, you're more than welcome to. Hope you're alright, buddy. Let's see. Zoara asks, when making your audios, since the listener is contributing to the conversation, do you actually script out what you would have them say to write out the responses, or is it something you leave slightly more vague? Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, most of my audios are pretty heavily improvised. I tend to think very one-sided about the conversation, like with occasional pre-planned topics to talk about. Like if I know the audio will feature the listener getting hurt and trying to hide it from the speaker, I'll know in advance that when the speaker asks if the listener's okay, the listener will probably say something about them being fine, which will then spur on further conversation about, no, I know you're lying, I can see it in your eyes, what's wrong? That said, when I do write scripts, I will still usually not write out listener responses. I'll usually signify the listener responding in some way with just like a line break and ellipsis, little 3 dots in a row, to like remind myself to take a moment, let the implied response happen before continuing on. So like I would write like, oh my god, are you okay? Like, I just saw you fell out of that tree. And then line break, ... I didn't know that you were a bird person who could fly. Like, that's crazy. Or whatever. Yeah, I usually will not write out the responses. I just find it easier to leave it vague so that I'm not having to formulate more dialogue than necessary. You know, I don't want to bog down my scripts when I do write them with all that extra dialogue that's not even being spoken. And plus, I don't want to like shoehorn the listener into very specific responses. Like, I know you took the last cookie from the cookie jar. And the listener has to say, no, it wasn't me. It was Tommy, I swear. And then I'd be like, Tommy already told me. He saw you. And then it's like, but without that extra context, it just sounds very weird. So, yeah, no, I usually, to answer your question very succinctly, I will usually leave very open-ended questions and statements from the listener. But yeah, thank you for asking a question. I hope this helps you. If you're interested in getting into voice acting, doing audio stuff or anything like that, you're more than welcome to share it, send it my way. I'd love to see it. Yeah, thank you, Zohara. Finally, the last question that I believe I should have. I really hope so. Tracy the Fox asks, will there be any more Tiny Chaudry? He is too damn adorable. Absolutely. I think of the characters I have, the chill mage, who is Chaudry, is one of the people who I'm most comfortable being small in an audio. Everyone else, I feel like, has like a prerequisite or like condition that needs to be met for me to be comfortable making an audio with them as a micro. But Chaudry really doesn't need any kind of reason or rhyme for his tininess. It's just kind of funny to have him be small sometimes. Yeah, I'd be happy to do more Tiny Chaudry. He really is, like, Tiny Chaudry is very fun to me. Especially because he's so casual about it and just like, yeah, of course I'm small. Duh. That said, since I'm sure some of you will be curious, just to quickly go through the boys who appear like most commonly on the channel, and like their prerequisites for being tiny. Himbo Jimbro needs to be around someone he like trusts entirely to like not even be tempted to bring him harm or humiliation, which I really just can't justify with a listener XP character, because obviously I don't know what the listener actually will feel like. So, you know, if it was like a character who was already in the world, like, I don't know, Ryback or something, I could see that in theory. But with a listener XP, I just can't see it, so probably will never happen. Catboy kind of just needs a reason to. Ryback the Catboy just kind of needs a reason to be small in general, because he has no ability to make himself small without like external factors like potions involved, and he's not generally adventuresome enough to put himself into a situation where it would just kind of happen. Friendly Giant, Clement, it's kind of just a bit unreasonable to have him be tiny most of the time, outside of like commissions. If you want to commission a character being tiny, you're more than welcome to. I'll state that again once I'm done here, but like the commissions are totally fine if you want to see this kind of stuff. Yeah, because he has a job, Clement, the Friendly Giant has a job and like people to protect, it just kind of feels weird to have him like willingly subject himself to being smaller than all of them, for like no reason. And then other characters such as like the Chill Mechanic, the Naga, the Bog Mage, they all kind of just fall into Clement's issue of like, it just doesn't really make sense for them to desire being small given their usual occupations. Like, I guess I could say the Naga, but for most of my characters, it just kind of hits the point of, I don't know why you would want to be this way. But again, Chaudry has numerous reasons to want to be small. It can help with magic, it can help with potion making, it can help with like detail stuff or getting to hard to reach places. He also has multiple ways he can become small. You know, he can cast spells, use potions, whatever. So he's kind of just easy to make tiny, which due to his nature as like a mage and kind of like a little dweeb, I feel like it works really well for him. And also the gentle friend, I will say, also very much falls into the category of having easy reason and desire to be smaller than the listener, because he's kind of an episodic character. I think I mentioned this before, but yeah, the gentle friend really doesn't have like a storyline so much as just like interactions, which I really enjoy. I like having someone who can kind of just get put into a situation. Oh, that's smart. Sorry, I was thinking about an audio. You'll probably already hear it if I do it, if I record it, but I think it's going to be for Monday the 14th. Working on an audio for it. Gentle friend would actually be a really great choice because he's very episodic. Anyway. But yeah, so just to be perfectly clear again, if you want to like request or suggest or commission a character to be tiny, honestly I really don't mind that. With suggestions and requests, I try to put them into the general world of the ASMR boys I have, because of course, you know, they're uploaded around the same time as my usual uploads. They're kind of, I try to keep them as like in character as possible, but with commissions I really don't mind if they're out of character. Yeah, like if, for example, you want to see a commission where Ryback is gigantic and like pretending to destroy the city or whatever, like, is that something he'd do naturally? Probably not, but if you want to see it happen, you know, I'm happy to record that for you. So yeah, that's my general thing, is like commissions I feel like are very non-canon in my world. I know that some people reportedly very much like to keep commissions for their characters like in line with how their characters would act. But for me, I'm very much like, these characters, you know, I have the set ways that I imagine them. And then everything outside of that is just like fanon. And I don't mind fan interpretations or fan requests of the characters doing stuff. So yeah. I know back when I had the Discord server, it's been shut down. Well, it hasn't been shut down. I have stopped attending to it. I have handed off control of it to my lovely friends, Sasha and Rui. But back when it was still a thing that I was actively participating in, I know that quite a few people had like alternate universes for multiple characters, which is always fun to read about. But yeah. In short, to answer the question very succinctly, yes, there will definitely be more Tiny Chaudry. And then for anyone who was curious, there will probably not be a lot of tiny content, like tiny speaker character content for the other guys, because I just can't figure out a reason why they would want to be, or that they would be comfortable doing so, or they would willingly do it. And I just can't find a like unwilling situation where it's still be relaxing. But if you want to commission that kind of stuff from me, you're more than welcome to. Or if you have a suggestion where you're like, what if this situation happened? I'm also happy to listen to suggestions if you have ideas. So if you're someone who wants to be a giant compared to any of the boys, and you have a great idea for it, please do feel free to comment it. I'd love to hear it. Genuinely, I would. Because who knows, maybe you will be the person who changes my mind about them being tiny. So, yeah, that would be all the questions. Thank you so much, Tracy, for your delightful question and for ending us off for the night. This was not meant to be as long as it is. Oops. But I don't really think you guys mind. I personally don't mind rambling for this long. I quite enjoy it. So, other things that I'll probably talk about later on as well. I have changed how I'm doing commissions currently. So, something I was kind of running into with my previous way of doing commissions on Ko-Fi was a lot of people weren't getting the chance to do commissions from me, like to get them, because I would announce them, and then the people who were like active when I was active would usually be the ones to be able to get them. So I'd get a lot of commissions from the same people, which I didn't mind. Obviously, it's money is money, and commissions are commissions. But I did feel bad when there would be people who would like request specifically, can you tell me when your commissions are open? I never get one. And then I let them know, and they're like asleep or something because they're halfway across the world. And then they wake up, and what do you know? All the commission slots have been grabbed. So that being said, I've reworked it a bit so that my smaller commissions, my 5-minute commissions, because they are so easy to record, generally speaking, I just have to have like a free day, and I can just sit down and do them. My 5-minute commissions will continue to be on Ko-Fi because they don't sell very quickly, and I can do them pretty easily. However, my longer form commissions are going to be done in a style I've seen a lot of artists do. Basically, I'll be opening up commissions forms. I already did one for March and April, so I'm working through those commissions currently. But I will open up the next commission form probably near the end of April, and I will announce it on my Blue Sky account, maybe my Twitter account. I don't tend to keep up with my Twitter, and I'll also post it on my community tab on YouTube. And I also might, just to make it very clear, I also might upload an extra video just to announce it as well, and to kind of let people like fully understand the changes. So basically, for those of you interested in how the commissions form is going to work, basically I have a form. You can write your name, your email, so I can get in contact with you, and then your idea. You tell me like what character you'd want, what your budget is, how long you want the audio, and then like same as you usually would on my Ko-Fi, for if anyone's gotten one of those, you'd basically tell me the premise of, this is the character I want, this is the concept I want, this is the general idea of what the audio would be, and then I will be picking a number of audios that I really enjoyed, I like the ideas of, and then I will be doing those. And so if you haven't been selected, you don't have to send any money over. There's no like refund, because you're literally just like filling out a form. You're not having to send over money in advance. And then if you do get selected, if I'm like, oh, I really like that idea, or whatever, then I will message you. I'll send you an email and say, hi, you've been selected. Here's how much the commission is going to cost. If that's okay with you, I'll send you an invoice on PayPal, and you can, as soon as you send the money over, I'll start working on your commission, and then I'll give you a delivery date. So yeah, that's how I'm doing it, and I'm going to see how well it goes. And if you look back on this video and go, wow, I haven't seen you do that process ever, chances are it's probably because it failed. But hopefully it won't. Hopefully you'll look back and go, wow, yeah, he's still doing it to this day. So yeah, and for anyone curious, because I've had a few people ask me if you are from like a different country. I believe, from what I've read, this might be wrong, but from what I've read, there are like automatic monetary conversions, like currency conversions, through PayPal and Ko-Fi both. So if you want a commission and you're not sure like if there's going to be an extra processing fee or whatever, there shouldn't be. And if there is, please send me an email and say like, hey, you told me it'd be this much, but when I got the invoice it said it was this much, and I'll figure it out. But yeah, so that's what I've been working on. I've been working on fixing up that so that more people have the chance to get commissions. And then over on my Patreon, for those of you who don't know and are curious, I do a monthly raffle for one person to get a 10-minute audio commission. It's not a super complex audio, but it is free. You don't have to like pay for it. You quote unquote pay for it with your subscription to my Patreon. But yeah, that has not changed. There's nothing different about that. It's just for the commissions, like the longer form commissions, they have now a form that I am working on. It's not available yet, but I will be posting updates again. Community tab, possibly a video if I remember to, and if I think it's worthwhile. And I'll also post it up on my Blue Sky account so that everybody knows. So yeah, and I think that's about it. That's the biggest secret sauce change. Biggest thing going on for me. And of course, for anyone curious, the other big thing with the commissions is there is the option now to make them private. I didn't have that as an option before because part of the commission was that I could then post it onto YouTube. But I've had a few people kind of state that they have a request that it's not necessarily like explicit or not safe for work. It's just something that's very intimate to them and they don't feel comfortable sharing it with the people. So if that's something that you're also dealing with, it's like, I think it's less than $5 more expensive. So it's really, I tried to make the prices as reasonable as possible while also keeping in mind the fact that the exposure is part of what was giving me food on the table. But yeah, so that is a thing. But generally speaking, most commissions, especially if they don't have like the privacy request, most commissions will still go up on my YouTube as time goes on. I have a massive backlog of them currently that I'm trying to get through so that y'all can see some of them, because some of them are really great. I'm really quite fond of them. I can't wait for you guys to see them. But I do have a backlog of them, so I'll probably start uploading more than one commission a month, because my original thing was just uploading one a month because that's about how often I get a commission. But now that I'm getting more than one a month, I see no reason to limit myself to just one commission a month to publish. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully it did. If it didn't, that's perfectly fine. Other news? Is there any other news? Sauce, do you have news to share? I don't think so. I will say, since it's April, I wanted to be very clear that the March 30th audio, titled something akin to like, your ASMR artist friend doesn't have a video today, sorry. It was part of the April Fool's Day joke. because I usually upload on Mondays, I was really worried if I didn't upload at all, that you guys would think that I'd forgotten to upload, or would be like worried that something happened to me or I died. So I wanted to make sure that you guys wouldn't be concerned, but I also wanted to do something very silly, because the whole point was that I was going to upload on Tuesday. So I had a couple people like offer very sweet comments being like, it's okay if you don't have a video for us, like, you know, take care of yourself, your needs go before ours. And that's really sweet. I really appreciate you guys. But yeah, don't worry, it was all part of that. I was big braining, I was scheming. So yeah, the concept was like, oh, I don't have an audio to upload, sorry. But then I also uploaded like a really long audio for you to listen to, talking about the fact that I didn't have an audio to upload. So it was meant to be very silly. And then of course, Tuesday was April 1st, which was the return of the mean Tiny. I really hope you guys enjoy that guy. He's endlessly funny for me to voice. In part because I don't know what I'm gonna do with him going in. It is entirely improvised. Like, everything I say is me just coming up with stuff on the spot. I just know he's gonna do something, like he's gonna insult you, he's gonna get you, in the goofiest ways possible. I try to make sure the insults are not actually like genuinely bad or mean. So yeah. There you go. That's really all I had to say though. I feel like there was something else I was gonna say. I'm like racking my brain. Okay, I guess I will also say something. It's April. Apto April is a thing. The person I've heard about it from. There we go. The person I've heard about it from is Coddlewag. Some of you may also know. Some of you guys may know them for some of their audio stuff. They do some really great audios. Some of it relaxing, some of it more humorous, or some of it, you know, like, I guess just less relaxing. I didn't find the ones like pretty sweet. Yeah, they're doing Apto April. Very excited for that. I am trying to keep the themes for this month, so I hope you guys enjoy them. I have some plans. That's why I was coming up with the plans earlier for the Gentle Friend audio, possibly on the 14th. But yeah, so we'll see what I do there. But yeah, I kind of forgot it was Apto April, so I had other audios planned. But then I was like, wait a minute. One of my dear acquaintances messaged me. And I was like, hey, it's Apto April. What are you doing? And I was like, oh. Okay, squeaky chair. I hear you. So does everyone else in the audience. But yeah, they were like, wait, what are you doing? I was like, nothing yet. So I changed plans, but it's okay. Okay, it's nearly hit an hour and a half. I know none of you want to listen to me for that long. Kidding, I'm sure some of you would love to. But not just me rambling for no reason. Audio's done. Q&A is over. Go home. So, I hope you all have a fantastic night though. Thank you so much for joining me. I really love doing these Q&As. Thank you guys so much for the questions. And Cat, if you're listening to this, what the heck? Where are your questions? Why no questions, Cat? I'm kidding. I'm not mad. I was just shocked. That's all. Well, yeah. I hope you all have a fantastic day. A fantastic night. Or whenever you're listening to this. And I'll talk to you later. I'm gonna get some sleep because it's nearly 3 a.m.